Hello, my friends. Hello. A non-judgmental place where we can really explore ourselves and meet our understand our um sorry, my connection just freaked out a little bit. But here, let me try to move this closer. There we go. So this is like I was saying, a non-judgmental place where we can meet ourselves and understand ourselves. Um Traditionally, a salt circle is seen and used as a barrier to keep you safe, to keep things out. But a salt circle can also be used as a conduit or a type of amplifier for energy or intention. And that's kind of what this is here. And every Monday, we discuss shadow work at a place where paganism and psychology intersect, and, self sorcery. And what I mean by self sorcery is governance and power over yourself, especially if you are a tumultuous and volatile person on the inside. This is kind of to reclaim that reign over your internal self. Um, so let's get into it. Like I said, every Monday I like to do exercises or explanations on shadow work. So I really kind of want to start off with seeing if anyone who is watching maybe has, input or insight into shadow work. Dream interpretation can be a way we explore our psyche and our inner self. In psychology and in, I guess, if you want to even call it, rudimentarily, like biology, dreams or when you go to sleep, that's when you learn, memories are created. Everything that you learn throughout the day is really recorded and memorialized or discarded and forgotten while you sleep. That's why sleep is so important, and that's why people say that sleeping before a test or some kind of big thing that you need to remember and prepare for is really important, because sleep is how you process and retain information. So dream interpretation is often seen, especially in, certain branches of psychology, like, Jungian, theories, one of which is shadow work. Dreams can be a powerful way to understand ourselves and what's going on the inside subconsciously. What information are we still trying to reconcile with? Um, so that was a great question. Definitely uh encourage people to interact with the stream and comment, like, subscribe, all that stuff. So, we've been having these podcasts, if that's what you even want to call it, for a few weeks now. And I thought, what better way to have an episode or a channel about shadow work than to really just do it with you, the viewer. And so that's what I kind of wanted to do today. I wanted to show you how I go through meeting myself and, what we call shadow work. And I know a lot of people, and for good reason, a lot of people put a lot of stock and a lot of emphasis on the importance or the powerfulness of, conducting shadow work. It is a very powerful tool and it is very uncomfortable work. It is work. And, a lot of people like to press on that importance, which I get, but shadow work can also be accomplished in very small, tangible ways that aren't so extreme and seeming like you need a professional to help you through it. Maybe this video will inspire you to seek the help of a professional to adequately, do certain exercises. I am not a professional. I am just someone who is self-taught, who is trying to heal my inner self and my inner child, myself. And as an American, if you are an American, then you know what it's like with health insurance and getting a doctor's appointment for therapy. And you know what I mean? So I have been really trying to slow down and understand why I react certain ways. Or I think my first desire to do shadow work even happened before I had a name for it. When I was growing up, I felt at certain points very isolated. And then when I was in college, I felt very isolated. Excuse me. And then as a young adult, really trying to be on my own after, either being no contact or having fallout with, some family members for whatever the reason, and then just trying to navigate the world as an adult on your own. So I think there was a point where I just wanted to be known and for my experiences to also be known. And I think with that, almost romanticism for the self was inspired of let's get to know ourselves. I don't know if that even makes sense, but I think it really comes down to wanting to love yourself and pretend like, if you had the perfect lover, if you had the, relationship of your dreams, you had, a phantom, soulmate who you could talk to but not touch, what would they say to you? And at any given moment, do you want them watching you as, you do something really smart or you feel proud of yourself? Do you wish you could share that? And I think that's where I kind of was. I think it was also, a way I coped with a lot of neurotic tendencies and other bullshit, which I'm grateful for. My imagination really came in clutch a bunch of times. But in the desire to be known came the understanding of myself in increments. And, it really opened my eyes to see how much of myself was reacting to things that reminded me of other things, or how much of the things that bothered me were actually things I saw in myself that deep down I didn't like. And, we can always point blame. We could always want to ruminate. There's always time to ruminate. There's always things and avenues to ruminate about. But to really just see past the thing or the hurt or the transgression, the kickoff to the maladaption, to see the residue that comes afterward, even if you've been no contact for 5 years, 10 years, however long, you're however thousands of miles away from the environment you so desperately wanted to escape from, but then you still kind of weirdly missed. You know what I mean? Like, if no one else is going to know all of the fucked up things you keep secret that have made you the way that you are, you at least owe it to yourself to know that, and to put these memories and transgressions, put them together with this is the wound, this is the reaction, this is what I'm left dealing with afterward. And I think there's a responsibility that comes with that. That's really, I found difficult to accept. I think moving past victimhood is very helpful too. And please, my friends, hear me out. When I say moving past victimhood, I don't mean you're not a victim and nobody cares. What you went through is weightless and empty. That's not it at all. When I say let go of your victimhood, I mean look for other reasons for the sadness, the hurt, the procrastination, other than that one wound. What other parts of the wound then are still there? It's almost like playing like a board game, a Doctor Who or a card game. You have to subtract and you divinate what's left, who's the character to pick, what's the marble that's gonna, hit the dongle to release the cards or whatever. And I think it's hard because at certain points you have to acknowledge the role you play in your own suffering. Obviously, we've all heard that quote. But to understand how much of your suffering that you're holding on to, or how much your identity is tethered to certain pieces of suffering. And it doesn't even have to be suffering. It could, for example, I was living in Colorado at the time, and I just moved there after living in Idaho. No, I was in New York this time, I think. And something was happening with my car insurance, and I never really had problems with my car insurance. This was like the first time. And I also, I don't know. So my car insurance person was like, "Hey, if we have you contracted out of, this state, but you're living in this other state. We have to change your stuff." And I was trying to make the very real argument that like, "Hey, I'm only in Colorado for school. This isn't my permanent address. Please don't make my rates go up." And I just remember feeling such gripped, arresting panic, frustration, hatred, anger, sadness, defeat over fucking car insurance. What is the deeper root? Is it the lack of control? Is it that part of me wanted my insurance to be based out of New York or wherever it was? Like, did I have my identity tied to I'm a New Yorker, I'm from New York, that means something out here? And then, digging even deeper. And again, like, I'm not a psychologist, psychiatrist, psychiatric, or I don't even know how to read tarot cards or anything like that. Tarot cards, however you pronounce it. I get laughed at when I call it tarot. But like, fuck you, I like carrots. And this shit's grounding, so. Um, Sorry, I thought about carrots too hard and I lost my train of thought. Yeah, it's gone. It's so gone, I'm sorry. Not a psychiatrist or anything, but yeah, I don't know. So, oh, right, the meat of it. This could be connected or not, but when I was younger, my mother would always compulsively ask me, "Oh, did they ask you if I'm from Colombia? Did they ask you where your mother's from?" And I always be like, "No, nobody gives a fuck." Right? Because she always wanted people to know about her. And I think as an adult, subconsciously, having iconography that expresses you before you do, I don't know. I feel like there is some type of tether, but again, I'm not a psychologist. I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm looking too deeply into things, but that is shadow work in its essence. It's seeing the panic, seeing the trigger, seeing the issue, and then grabbing the string and leading it back to the yarn ball of bullshit and not trying to entangle it, not trying to make sense of it really, but just seeing what that string is connected to. And that's really it. And when I think about, my identity, who am I? Do people care about who I am? do people even know about me? Nobody knows that I'm from New York. Do people care about where I'm from, the magic, the lore, whatever? I think that's what that main thought is, and that main panic was when the car insurance bullshit was happening. And I look back at it and now I'm like, oh, that's so easy to deal with. Just get new insurance in your state that's cheaper. But I think when you're also, mentally ill or really, really stressed, it's hard to think concisely. And if you don't have anyone to talk to, it's also really hard to know what the right thing to do is, which is very stressful, which is valid. So you can't like I try very hard not to like freak out internally at myself for panicking that hard back then over that, because when I look at it, like if I was my a friend to myself, it's like, hey friend, that was your first time dealing with that. Be nice to yourself. We got through it. It's okay. You know now for next time. You have to build that decorum up and that dialogue up with yourself, you know? And then it becomes easier to navigate what that string is and lead it back when you don't feel shame and guilt about freaking the fuck out and you know, maybe being a fucking raging bitch to the person on, the other line on the other end of the phone or that's working for AAA who's not who doesn't even, they're just working or whatever. So, one thing I really wanted to do was practice shadow work with you. But first, I wanted to check the comments and see if anyone said anything. Okay. Okay, that's valid. I see. Cool. Well, hello everyone for watching. That makes me happy that we have people here. Don't feel skittish to comment or interact. It gives me a nice reprieve because I feel like I ramble and I apologize for that. Mm, perfect example. So, like I said, my name is Daniela. I've been on my healing journey for I don't even know how fucking long, but it's been a while. And for a couple of years, I've been consciously doing work to learn about myself and do better, react better, handle stressful situations better, navigate my triggers better, things like that. And it's never, a straight path. Many things will come along even after you're healed, even after you know how to navigate, even after you've practiced and met yourself, whatever, 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 things will come along and trigger you and set you all the way back to having to deal with the very raw emotions and stuff. And don't feel like, oh, like I'm healed, it'll never happen again. That's not true and that's not realistic. Um, sorry. So, like I said, I've been on my shadow work journey for a while, at least just meeting myself. And when I recently got, the job that I'm at now, there was, or there is, oh, stinky puppy. There is this, other coworker there who is very, in my eyes, and I know this is like bitter old lady of me, but I'm just like, oh, this young bitch. She thinks she's so fucking interesting and like she's such a pick me, give me attention kind of girl. And, oh, puppy. He's like a year old. He's literally a puppy. You can't be mad at him. And we have this like Teams fun work chat for where I work, which is really nice. And she's always like commenting stuff in there that is like super fucking like pointless. And it's almost like, she's just like, oh, like, whatever. And it's like, that's not even like a thing. Like, no one cares. Like, you're dumb. Like, I don't know. And I thought about it, like, why? Sorry, he's just like in my way. So like, oh my puppy, he's just a baby. I was sitting at work one day and I was like, why does she bother me so much? How come every time how come every time she's messaging in the group chat or every time I hear her fucking voice and like her talking about herself and like her oh my god, like I have to travel. It's like, oh my God, get over yourself. I literally got food poisoning from eating rotten bread because I'm so fucking like broke. Like nobody cares that like your parents pay for like your house or you know what I mean? Like it's just weird, like try I don't know. And I was thinking, I was like, okay, why does she piss me the fuck off so much? Like what is it? Because I don't even know this girl. I've only been working with her like a year. What is this? And I really thought about it and I was like, am I envious about how free and open she is about her own life? She tells people anything, even if it's like dumb as shit, even if it's like whatever. And I thought I was just like, I wish I had that quality. Like sometimes people at my job will like talk about things or like say things and like I have things that I want to say, but I also panic at the idea of people looking at me and I always feel like my opinions are stupid and like I'm going to get tongue twisted and embarrass myself and get like, whatever or that people just like don't like me and they don't want like whatever it is that's all internal and that also doesn't matter because even if they don't like me like I could still like talk to them and like they have to deal we're at work like who cares like fuck you it's practice right I don't know but I really thought about it. I was like, I honestly like that quality that she possesses for like I want that for myself. I want to be outspoken and outgoing about my own life because I've always felt a sense of shame and keep it a secret, about certain things about myself. Or, I've always felt like I can't say anything because what I want to say is always wrong. And I think what's really cool about being an adult and like growing up and entering like the workforce and corporate America is like, it really doesn't fucking matter. I wore a Renaissance fair cloak to work today because I work in a cubicle and no one talks to me. And like, it honestly doesn't matter. And I was so happy. I felt so in tune with myself. I can't even tell you. So to really just like be at work and just like say the thing, just interject, just openly express, authentically be in a conversation, that is what it wasn't anger or hatred to her. It's like a form of jealousy. It's a form of, representation that you almost feel is unattainable because you have all this other work to go through. You know what I mean? So again, like that was like the main overlying, top level of the emotion. Like I'm fucking fuming at my coworker. She's so fucking annoying. Actually, I think she's really fucking cool and I wish I was more like that. There's shame in not being more like that. And it comes from, being made fun of at school by my teachers a lot, especially like my Spanish teachers, because they'd be like, your mom's from Colombia. Like, how do you not know this? And it's like, I was never able to just say the truth, which was like, she doesn't talk to me. Like, we don't live together. Like, I don't know, man. Like so shadow work really is like getting that first grab the thread and just go inward, find it deeper, trail it backwards. And you don't, like I'm not trying to, well, why did those teachers? Well, how come I hold on to it? How do I let it go? There's really no untangling it, at least not at first. I think you have to meet it many times and just see where it goes and what's connected to it before you can really start untangling it, the yarn wall that is your dysfunction that you carry with you. Um, but I really do think in meeting it, you do like, loosen it up. You get it stirred. You understand, oh, this is tied to this, which is connected to that, which is put over here and knotted there. And you can really see, how things that you might not even think are connected really are. And it'll make the understanding process, the uncovering and untangling process way easier to navigate, I think. Um, and like I said, it's all work. You're not going to get it all done in one sitting or session. And it's not going to necessarily just be you blocking off time and meditating and looking inward. Like, so it might hit you when you're in the shower or taking a shit or driving. It may seem like, a fleeting thought, like, oh, I want to think about more of that later, and you never remember it again. No, shadow work, I think, is a powerful tool, but I think we all can do it. And even 5 minutes meeting yourself and thinking about yourself and loving yourself and not judging yourself, that's 5 minutes of shadow work. 5 minutes of shadow work is better than 0 minutes of shadow work. It all adds together. It accumulates. So, I come here twice a week, Mondays and Wednesdays, to do shadow work and to also work on other things like, grief. So, if you like what I talk about, if you really enjoy my 2 cents and my stories, please comment and please subscribe. Really would appreciate it. I definitely kind of want to do another point of shadow work. Um, or just at least and here's a benign part of shadow work, right? So I woke up today to go to work wearing this cute little, dress. It's floor length, but my office is freezing. I work in a law office, and if anyone else works in corporate America, you know how cold it gets in these big offices. So I was, really kind of running late and I could not find a cardigan. I couldn't find anything to wear, but I did find the Renaissance Fair cloak that I bought last year. And if you're curious, you can see it on my Instagram, you can see it on my TikTok. Go check it out. And it is literally the perfect length. It's like ankle length. It's thick wool. It has a giant hood and it like ties. And I honestly was just like, be warm, you own it, wear it, who cares? So I did. I threw it on, tied it, left out the door. It was like, 50 degrees out, it was cold, but I felt so warm in my giant wool cloak. Drove to work, no problem. And then when it came time to get out of my car to go into my through the parking garage, through the lobby, up the thing, into my job, I got the worst sense of panic. I did. I am in my 30s, and I honestly, to my bones, felt like if I left my car in my cloak, someone was going to approach me and tell me that I was wrong for wearing that. Or I just felt shame, like this looming, impending, punishmenty, like I was shamey. And I literally stayed in my car for an extra, couple of minutes, freaking out, thinking like, should I just take it off and run upstairs and literally just this? But I don't have a coat or anything in my office. So I was like, I'm literally gonna be like this for 9 hours, 8 hours, frozen. I can't. I have to. And this is where the shadow work kicked in. I was like, what is it? What's actually scaring me? What is actually scaring me? Because I'm an adult, I'm thousands of miles away, and both my parents can never affect me. The people that raised me are either dead or whatever. Like, so there's no actual getting scolded, there's no authority figure that is actually in my life, no relative or parent that I have to worry about finding out and, calling me and tell. There's none of that. And I was like, well, am I afraid that I'm going to get fired? Fired for wearing a cloak? Highly unlikely. Rational brain is talking here. Incredibly unlikely. And if so, lie. Lie your fucking ass off. Like, oh, I'm doing laundry. This is all I had. Whatever, like you could say whatever and then just ask for forgiveness and never do it again. Keep pushing. Um, and I was like, well, maybe I'm afraid of what my coworkers will think. Why am I afraid of that? I'm not even friends with any of them. I don't even talk to any of them. I feel like a lot of them don't even like me. Well, is it that that's like a very familiar theme in your life that you feel not liked or not welcomed in certain social groups? When was the last time you felt that way? That was really hurtful. Honestly, when I was in college, I was in a sorority and I got kicked out. And I remember it was a very weird time in my life where I felt so unsure of myself as a person, and I really had a hard time expressing and communicating. And none of the sorority sisters and I like really jived. So I kind of got expulsed. And I think there was always a desire to want to be part of a group. I miss being part of a dynamic. I had a very intensely close, very fun friend group in grade school, and then they all got into drugs and fell off or went to prison. So I think when I look at my coworkers, it's almost, do I want to replace a friend group that I've lost? Do I miss that dynamic of being accepted and being part of a fun dynamic? Is there pain in feeling rejected from them? It's okay to feel these ways, and this is going to make you feel uncomfortable. You might want to just start crying and screaming and breaking things because it's not fun to think about these things objectively. And that's why it's called shadow work, not shadow lollipop, shadow dildo. It's not fucking fun. It's work. They should call it shadow. I don't even know. I lose words. But you know what I mean? And so when I really thought about it, I was like, okay, you know what? If no one likes me at work, if that's really true, then what I do doesn't really matter. Everyone's already going to have a negative opinion about me, right? So I got out with my cloak on and it was so fucking warm. And I just walked through the parking garage. I didn't see anyone. I walked up the stairs, 2 flights. I didn't see anyone. Through the lobby, through the main building, waited for the elevator, rode the elevator up, saw one person, said good morning, and then went to my desk and saw that there was a cardigan there. So I took off the cape and put on the cardigan and had my day. And I can't tell you, even though it seems really pedantic and benign and stupid, it's really valuable to meet yourself in those kinds of ways. And when you see the uncomfortable situation, when you see the painful trigger, when you see the things that are triggering the memories that are making you feel unsafe, to really sit with it and explore it and then continue on. And, not necessarily back down because I did take the cape off, but, to approach the situation with a lot of grace for yourself. And I think especially when you go through certain, instances of trauma or dysfunction or, neglect, it's hard to just let yourself be without feeling shame and feeling, almost a repetition of what you've heard in the past. I think I always kind of align certain interactions. I always see the friends that I've lost or the groups that haven't accepted me. And then when certain things repeat, like that remind me of those things, it's really easy to just ruminate and go back into those habits and those patterns and those spirals. But it's really difficult to just catch yourself and, slow down, stop, sit with it, explore it, meet it, analyze it, digest it, categorize it, and then, just allow it to be. Just say like, yeah, you're anxious. You're scared. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. You know? What's the worst thing that's gonna happen? You're gonna get fired for wearing a cloak? Bitch. If that's the case, you've been through so much worse and you can get over it. You'll find a new job, you'll keep it pushing. Just like you should keep it pushing with this. And it takes a while to build that dialogue up. And I think it takes a while to really be able to catch yourself and then meet yourself and dig deep. Like it doesn't just all happen at once. So give yourself patience and give yourself grace. I really appreciate everyone coming in and talking. I want to take a minute to look at the chat. Oh, you guys are funny. I don't have magic powers. I don't think that. I'm just a human popsicle sometimes. But I think that's enough about shadow work today. I hope you really enjoyed what I spoke about, and I hope that definitely subscribe. I'll be on again live, same time on Wednesday, but we're going to discuss, death, dying, and bereavement and how that plays out with shadow work, with healing our inner child, and, things like that. But I wanted to put on another song and ground ourselves, blow out the candles, and really relax our muscles and take in everything that we discussed. Feel better. Feel not just your outer self be grounded, but feel your inner self feel safe to come out. So until next time, until we chit chat again, until Wednesday, you know. Keep growing, keep digging deep yourself, keep trying, okay? Okay. Oh, it's time to grab this.